All right.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I'm excited to introduce my next guest actor, producer, director, entrepreneur. Loved him in Scream, Scooby-Doo, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and soon 2. Welcome to the show, Matthew Lillard. Hey,
Hey, huzzah. Hi, Jeff. How are you, man?
good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm Southern California. Just stopped raining after like 6 days. I just got back from a convention this weekend, so I'm good. I feel
Let's
good.
talk about the convention. I'm in Michigan.
Oh yeah. Oh good.
I saw you
Where are
from
you in
afar. I
Michigan?
couldn't get near you at the Motor City Comic Con. You were like the rock star of the Motor City Comic Con.
Yeah, that's weird. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's interesting. I go to a lot of Comic Cons. You can see all my pretends behind me, but like,
Right?
there's always the people that are 10 rows deep, 20
Mm.
rows deep. That was you. And then there's some people where you're like, oh, I feel bad. No one's there. But I tell you, like, I remember like when you were there, I think 2022 with the Scream crew as well.
Right.
Now, this may be a myth in my head, and I may have made some of this up, but this is the story I tell. I say, Matthew's line was so long, and Shatner was across from him originally, and they moved Shatner. William
That,
Shatner.
that's funny. I'm changing my glasses so I can see. Yeah, it's funny. I have had this like weird I'm trying to see I can see better this way. It's weird. Yeah, I feel like I'm having this weird moment. And I do feel like some of it is the legend is growing. Do you know what I mean? Like I definitely have things in my line that I like everyone. I hug people, everyone. I try to give everyone a moment. I try to give everyone I try to connect with people every single time when somebody walks in. I'm like, okay, well, who's this guy's story? What's this person's journey? Like I sort of like people a lot. And I've gotten very good at like listening and paying attention very quickly to who they are and sort of like seeing where they're at. You can have a crying kid who's like a super fan. You can have a dude who's just collecting, your signature because he thinks there's value. And there's everything in between. And I do think that I have fun and I do think I'm silly and I do think like some of it's a big performance. Like there are moments in there where, I walk through my line, I high five everyone. There's a reason to doing it. So every time I walk through my line, I high five everyone. I'm looking for young kids. I'm looking for people on the spectrum. I'm looking for differently abled people. And if I see them, I'll bring them to the front of the line. But I do think that there's something about lines and my lines at conventions that there's like a legend growing that I don't know if I can keep up with,
What you've described is exactly, I think, the magic, which is some people go, and I've gone, and you meet some big names, and you're there, and they sign it, and that's it.
Yes.
Maybe they'll make eye contact with you. Maybe. I
That's a
can
legit, and that's legit. You think like people would think you're being dramatic, but literally people will literally go, "Here you go, bud," and transact, just straight transacting.
right, and that's look your lines. Just so people who don't necessarily frequent Comic Cons know, if their line is like 10 deep, 20 wide, that's a couple hours. It's an investment. So some people choose to pick one person, two people, and that's their Comic Con experience for that day. So for them to choose you, I've seen videos of like you just walking, the people will just catch you walking to your thing, or like how you did the screen panel. And like the engagement level is different. I do tell a story about Henry Winkler, where Henry Winkler walked to the overflow line and
Right.
started talking to us and shook my hand and then walked back. And I'm like, oh, that guy knows how to do it. I'm not leaving. You know what I mean? So it sounds
Oh
like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
you do as well. Like that's the experience because that's what people want. That's what
Right.
the only thing that's what people remember. I mean, I can tell you 5 stories from all the pictures on my wall because of the experience I had when I met them. And most of them I didn't get an experience. It was just the
Transact.
transaction.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, and to me, it's just better. It's just human. It's who I am as a person. So it's not disingenuous. It's like I like people. I actually sort of love hugging that little kid who's having a moment. I love, the grandma that's having a moment. I love giving people an experience. But then on top of it, like I want to, it's such an incredible relief financially in my life that I know that if I don't ever work again, I can feed my kids until they can feed themselves, right? And there's something I've never had that in my life. I started acting when I was 13. I became a professional actor when I was 21. And since the day I quit waiting tables, I have lived in a in financial insecurity for a very, very, very long time. And it isn't until the last 3 years that I have finally found like, oh, it doesn't matter what happens, I can always make it here. Do you know what I mean? And that is an incredibly profound relief for my wife, especially because I am like, I don't really care. I'm gonna make it in some capacity. I'm like, I'm not that worried about like not feeding myself because I've fed myself now for 55 years, or for, whatever, 40 plus years. But my wife does not like that insecurity.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're between Scream, Five Nights at Freddy's,
Uh,
and Scooby-Doo. I think I saw that you're in the new in Daredevil, right?
right.
I mean, like pretty much hit every genre. And yes, it's Comic When I first started going to Comic Cons way back in the day, you would pay for the 8x10 and you didn't have to pay for the photo. And so
Right.
eventually it became like, oh no, you have to pay for the photo. And then there was a period where there was video. Oh, if you want like a quick video together. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I could see where every time I'm there, I'm like, oh, why can't I be guy number 5 on Star Trek one episode? I could be making
I
it.
can feed my kids. I can feed my, but that's the security that I'm talking about. But yeah, so listen, and I know that my job is to make sure every one of those people has an experience enough that they want to go back next year. I say to every promoter, I'm like, my only job this weekend is to make sure people come back next year, whether I'm here or not. Because as long as that industry holds up, as long as, people keep seeking out those experiences, then there's a way through. And I do think it's interesting too, is that there's a couple of us that, I mean, I'm working like crazy right now. Vincent D'Onofrio was there. He's working like crazy. Mike Flanagan, Kate was there. I mean, there's a bunch of people that are working. It used to be like, people that were on love, but whatever. It used to be con industry used to be people that weren't working. And now it's full of people that are. I mean, Charlie Cox is there. I mean, I'll see him on set and then he's flying to go do a con.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember it's been a few cons now, but there was a good run where you couldn't go to at least the Motor City Comic Con and there wasn't 2 to 5 people from The Walking Dead there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
They
all
had
this
a big run. They had a big run. They had their own convention. A Walker Stalker in Atlanta was their convention.
that was a run. And then eventually it was like, oh, no one's here anymore. Wait, did I hear you were almost Negan? Did you did I say
Yeah. That is a story. I don't think I've ever told on a podcast, but yeah. So I mean, the story is that I was at San Diego Comic Con and I was going on with Twin Peaks. It was right around Twin Peaks, and the entire Walking Dead cast was there, and they were right after us, I think, in Hall H, big Hall H. And the showrunner came up. He said, He's like, do you realize that you were? He's like, he said, introduced himself. He's like, I don't know if you realize this, but you were Negan for like 5 minutes. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, because I went and auditioned, and I went back like 4 times to audition as Negan, and I was like, I really wanted that job, and I didn't really know. I mean, I knew how popular the show was, and they were like, trust us, this character is like going to be as iconic as it gets. And they told, back then they were like, he kills like huge people in the show. I was like, yes, I want that job. Give me that job. So I went in like, I literally think I went in 4 times and auditioned. And he's like, yeah, we all loved you. There's 2 different ways. There's Jeffrey Dean Morgan and me. And I think that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is an incredible Negan. He's super masculine. He's badass. He's all those things. My guy was a little funnier and a little weirder, I think. And at the end of the day, he had the offer for a long time. I mean, he was their first choice. Nobody's saying that was the first choice for Negan. But he had the offer for a long time, and I guess they just weren't getting an answer. And so they put a ticking clock on it. They hadn't heard an answer. And then they moved to me. They made the choice to go to me and had yet to reach out to my agent when his agent called and accepted the part on his behalf. So and then he goes on to have this crazy run, and it's an incredibly successful part for him. And every time I go to a con, there's like 70 Negans cosplaying. And I'm like, that could have been me. Ah.
I was deemed an influencer, I think for 15 minutes once. And so before Negan's reveal, The Walking Dead, because I was huge on Twitter at the time, sent me a full replica of Lucille, the bat. I mean, the
Oh,
box was impressive. The box it came in was even more impressive. So, like, yeah, I went as Negan once.
oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Oh man, you would have been a good Negan. Sometimes you go, oh no, yeah, but I could see it would have been a different take on it. But I
Totally
think you
different.
would have been amazing.
Totally way. I think I think he was an incredible Negan. I just would have been a weirder choice.
So speaking of Michigan, you're from Michigan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I love talking to people from Michigan on the
So do
show.
I.
Yeah, I used to. At one point the show was called Live from Detroit, which it wasn't live and it wasn't in Detroit, but anyway, but I like it. It brought in a lot of Michigan people. I just had Thelma Hopkins on.
Oh,
She
right
grew up
on.
in Detroit as
Oh,
well.
really?
So how long were you in Michigan for? How long did you live in Michigan?
So the truth of the matter is, I left when I was 8. I tell everyone I left when I was 10 because that's my story. My mom's story is I left when I was 8. My mom and dad probably have the correct story and I have the wrong story, but it was such a seminal part of my life. Like I was, you know, being from the Midwest and like sort of born and raised in, going to Detroit, going to Tiger Stadium. Like my mom had 5 sisters, and my mom and dad had me very young, and I was raised in this family. I mean, I was basically raised by all these sisters because my mom was so young. And that family back then was so tight. I mean, we would sit and play cards all the time. We do puzzles all the time. My grandma had a lake house. I mean, and I feel like when I left Michigan, I cried like a baby. I mean, I was 8, but I was like, I'm moving back to Michigan. You can't take me away from my friends. But I would run around and we'd play with frogs and we'd be on bikes for, days and we would hike down to the lake and jump in the lake we weren't allowed to jump into and play hide and go seek and, play with matches behind our house. I mean, like we did all those things back in the 70s, because I was born in 1970. Like you were sort of a ragamuffin. I mean, you just ran wild through the neighborhood. For me, to this day, if people say, where are you from? I say 100%, I'm from Michigan, born and raised in Michigan. Even though my wife's like, you spent most of your life in Orange County, and now you've spent, 40 years in California. I mean, dude, you're a Californian. I'm like, I'm still from Michigan. I mean, it's still who I am. I saw all my aunts and uncles this weekend. We sat there and watched the Lions lose, which was heartbreaking. And I don't know, I really identify with being a Midwesterner.
Nothing better than being a Midwesterner. I mean, that's so quick questions. Fago or Verner's, or which Fago
A Werner's float all day long.
all day long? Do you have a favorite Fago flavor?
No. Fago, it's so funny. Somebody gave me like things made in Michigan this weekend, and they gave me a Fago and Werner's. I don't remember Fago, but Werner's is still very relevant in my house.
If they gave you Fago Rock and Rye, buckle up.
Okay, copy that. Good to know.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So you left it for California. And then, oh, you're also, I didn't realize this, like the entrepreneur side of you. You're
Oh
like
yeah.
into all the whiskey. I try to drink whiskey. To be honest with you, I'm like, okay. It's if it's, I'm more of a fruity flavor type drink if I go out. Yeah, but I was looking at checking out your website. I would
Yeah.
buy these bottles. I mean, do people buy them and just not drink them? I mean, they're gorgeous. The
Oh,
art
thanks.
on these bottles.
Yeah, it's funny. Can I show you one real quick?
Yeah, I love it.
So I just did a video with this one and I sort of am in love with it. Here, I'll show you 3 actually. So yeah, so our whole thing is for people that don't know, I started a company 2 years ago called Find Familiar Spirits. We build high-end spirit experiences around fandoms, but this is our monk bottle. So each one of our bottles comes with a an ongoing saga. So another chapter in an ongoing saga. And so I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons player. And so this is our character class. This is our character class collection. Yeah, it's been super successful. It's beautiful. They're numbered editions. They're great. And then this is our macabre spirits. So this is the bottle that we this is our horror collection, and so this is based on a story written by Mike Flanagan. So he wrote a story called Rare, Fine, and Limited, and so that story, this little novella, comes with the bottle of Sodal. And then there's our latest drop, which is Horror Word Reserve, which is based on a band called Ice Nine Kills. So this is a Bloody Butcher corn variant of a bourbon. So look, it's as as actors, as creatives, you're like waiting for people to call you to work. And so the way I protect my, the downside and the weight, I've built two companies. I have another company called Beetle and Grimm's. I'm drinking from our coffee cup. So this is we build a high-end, Dungeons and Dragons accessories for Dungeons and Dragons. So we built like this ultimate kit that everything you could possibly want to have the ultimate D&D campaign we put in a box.
That's amazing. I gotta say, I was looking at the Macabre Spirits and the Quest and Whiskey websites, and it said find familiar spirits. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. The website is going to help me find familiar spirits. I thought it was like some Google overlay. Then I realized,
Oh
oh,
yeah, yeah,
that's, and then I thought, just help me find similar products. And I
yeah, yeah.
realized, oh, this is the name of his company. This is brilliant.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, it's a spell in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
Find familiar is like you cast as like a wizard, and all of a sudden some kind of familiar will come to you.
Ah, all
Yeah,
right. Well, I
yeah,
just exposed. I will not be pretending moving on that I know anything about D&D.
right. Fair enough.
I have.
Fair enough.
All right, let's talk about some of your early highlights. You got Serial Mom. That's kind of a big one. And then you got what the Hackers, and then but Scream is Scream where it all started to like come together for you. Was that when you felt like, oh my goodness?
No, I mean it's so funny. It's like not really. I mean, in the middle of it all, if I'm looking back and if I'm being honest, like you always feel like you're on a ladder and you're climbing the ladder and you're trying to get to the next rung of the ladder and you're all you can see is what's in front of you that you're not getting. And the reality is I very rarely in my life stopped to go like, oh, look how great this is, or look, oh, I've made it, or when you're never on the ladder going, this is high enough, and so the reality is that Serial Mom was the first movie I ever got. It was the third audition I ever had. It's like I'm the luckiest guy in Hollywood and just went off I literally walked in, I quit my waiting job and have yet to go back to waiting tables, but could happen any second. And so that was really the first break. I mean, that was big. I mean, that was, I'm off and I'm now making movies. And then Scream came along and it was a huge success, obviously. But the success has grown over time. I mean, when it came out, it was a big hit. But as as it's progressed and as we're now in this like five, six, and seven, like sort of like I would say that the Halloween industry took what was which was a big movie and a great hit and sort of a seminal horror film and just turned it into a juggernaut. Because everywhere you turn, there's the Ghostface costume, and I really think that the success of that propelled the franchise in ways that is hard to sort of articulate.
I heard someone speak once, probably some random TikTok video where they said if you can dress as something and someone goes, "Oh, then you got a hit and it's going to last forever." Like,
Uh,
oh, that's Scream,
yeah,
or that's Frankenstein, or that's whatever.
yeah.
So
It's funny too because like you look at something like Art the Clown, which is an unmitigated success, huge, for what it is and how they made those movies, like smashing success. But there's something hard about doing Art the Clown mask, right? Like you'd have to, like, it's like a clown mask. I think it would be difficult. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. There's nothing derogatory versus that. But there's that Scream mask is so simple, right? The whole thing is so simple, and you can sell it in a kit, and it's easy to disseminate to the millions of people. And so I do think that is like, I think I think that's Scream's secret sauce.
anyone can just dress up at any time, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right, so you're Stu Macher. Macher is Yiddish. It means big shot.
Oh, it means what?
Big shot.
Oh, really?
That's my Twitter handle, Big Macher, which really means big shot. That's like saying ATM machine. But yeah. So it's that's what that your last name means. I thought
I
no
didn't
one
know.
else would have, but
I didn't know
popped
that.
out for me. How was working with Wes Craven?
Incredible. I mean, it was great. And there are I don't think that you have relationships with directors that are a little like going back to the con thing. Like they can be transactional. You can show up, you can do your job. They're all nice. They all need you. There's like they on set, there's a great working relationship. I don't know. I'm sure that there are working relationships I've had in my life on certain films that he has the same or she has the same relationship with me that she has with the gaffer, the DIT guy, the craft service person. Like, I just think that sometimes I come in and you can have like a transactional relationship with the director. I do think that for us collectively, certainly, for the kids, we were all kids at the time, but I think that he had an impact that was pretty profound on Skeet, myself, on Nev, on Jamie, on David for sure. I mean, without a doubt. I know that David was really suffering in the second film, or it was the third film, and Wes, David spoke about this, so I'm not taking his story and sharing it, but I am sharing his story, but he's already shared it. But he was such a father figure to him in this really profound and beautiful way, and I just feel like he made an impact on all of us. And that relationship was special, and you don't really realize how special it was until years later. But like I said, in the middle of it, you're just making a movie, and it feels great. And he was great. It was awesome, and we had fun. And he was a lovely director and such a sweet man. I mean, the one thing I love to tell people about Wes is that he made all these horrible sort of stories and these explosive, things. And, he was an ornithologist. He loved watching birds. I just think that, the dichotomy of who he was so soft-spoken and so eloquent, and he was just a really beautiful man.
That's amazing. And he cameoed as Freddy in the
Yeah, yeah.
movie. The relationship and his style, because as I was kind of digging into Scream a bit, I realized, Matthew's a lot of Matthew's lines were your lines were improv, like, or at least a few classics kind of got in there, or like some of the things that happened, he just would let go or left in in the movie.
Sure.
So when you're embodying a character like that, and you just kind of throw out a line. Is that normal, or do you know that the like Wes was gonna be receptive to it, or yeah?
Yeah, oh, he definitely was receptive to it. I mean, I feel like he was like, do it written as once, and then play. I mean, I think he really loved that. And look, I do it a lot in my work, but some people are more receptive than others. But yeah, but I think that he certainly towards the end of I think scene 118 took 21 days, which is the big sequence at the end. So in that sequence, like there's a lot of playing, there's a lot of a lot of things happen. Like, he hit me with the phone, very famously hit me with the phone. I'm like, you fucking hit me with the phone, you dick. And I picked up the phone. I thought he was gonna cut, and he didn't cut. And I picked up the phone and continued the conversation. Did you really call the cops? My mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me. All of that is like all of that whole sequence is all improv after the phone hit. But yeah, but he was open to it, and so we gave it in spades.
It's funny, kind of rewatching it when spoiler, when the TV comes down on your head.
Yeah,
Like watching it now, I realize like, oh well, that's funny. Today TVs wouldn't be heavy enough to kill him.
no, and still, I will say, I don't think they were heavy enough back then to kill him.
Well, they might have been. It could have been like a 50-pound TV or a 25-pound
Could
TV.
have
But
been, could have been, but I would argue he's still alive.
all
It
right.
seems
Well, yeah,
not
of course, Stu lives. I mean, we got Scream 7 coming out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have an argument to make. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, is anyone ever really dead? I mean, that's the whole thing. Well, I hope you come back. I'm not going to ask, but I hope you come back real time as Stu Macher, do some damage in the next Scream. That would be awesome. So Freddie Prinze Jr. auditioned for your role.
In Scream?
Yeah, I read that. You can only trust IMDb so far, but
Yeah.
like they said that I know you worked with them like 3 times, obviously in Scooby-Doo,
Five,
and so
five times.
5 times, a million times. So
Yeah, yeah.
that one, and then but you were in Scream 2 also, uncredited, just a random background, or
Yeah, I was friends with, most of the cast, and I stopped by work one night, and Wes was like, "Why don't you walk behind? You just walk through the scene." I'm like,
and then
"Okay."
they were gonna the original Scream 3. You were alive again,
I
Stu,
was.
right?
We made a deal, and the conceit was that kids in high school were doing the same sort of horrific thing, and that it was revealed at the end that Stu Mocker was in jail and he was running this little gang of hoodlums doing horrible things. And then Columbine High School happened, and everyone thought the better part of Valor was to step away from that storyline and go a different direction. And they did.
Got it. So, all right. So, of the five times you worked with Freddie Prinze Jr., a couple of them were Scooby-Doo, and
Yeah, yeah.
then Shaggy. How many? If you were to say, if you were to ask people what's Shaggy's last name, how many of them do you think would actually know? That's a
Three.
good trivia question, though, right? I mean, it's like it's one of
Yeah,
those
yeah,
that half the people might know, half of them might not. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Not many people know his first name.
Shag. Oh, it's Shaggy. Not. Oh, Norville.
Oh, Norval.
Yeah, that's right.
Norval Shaggy
Shaggy's
Rogers.
okay. So this role kind of changed your life, right? I mean, this is you've been Shaggy now. I mean, in terms of playing Shaggy and everything since these movies.
Yeah, there was one I didn't do. That I think the movie's called Scoob, and they went out and got somebody else to do that one. But since then, I've been sort of the company voice. Yeah,
Hashtag boycott Scoob. We won't listen to that one.
I
And
did not appreciate that. That was for sure.
yeah, I mean, but it's amazing. Like when I was looking at your IMDb, I was like, I didn't realize how much Scooby Doo there was.
Oh yeah, they're doing Scooby all the time in some capacity or another. In fact, I just did a pilot like 2 months ago. I did a pilot. I was up in Canada and did a pilot for a new Scooby-Doo series. So I'm hopeful that it goes, but we'll see.
That's amazing. What do you think it is about Scooby and the gang that just keeps resonating? They just one of those that's always been here. I can't remember a life without Scooby Doo, one way or
Yeah.
another.
I mean, I always think that, it's kids' first look at horror and drama. I mean, it's a fun way, to introduce kids to mysteries and the same reason you like horror movies now, like it makes you feel something. I feel like when kids watch it, they can, it's okay to be scared because it's always a man in the mask, which I think is still pretty terrifying. But, and having, they see themselves reflected in Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. They see themselves as afraid, scaredy cats that end up rising up and saving the day. So that's my thought.
Was James Gunn around or he just co-wrote
Oh
it?
yeah, he was around the whole time, all day, every day. It was the best. In fact, we were inseparable. We were down and shot the first movie down in Australia, and he and I and Linda Cardellini and we were just hung out. All of our partners, we would hang out like constantly.
That's amazing. That's
It was
awesome.
awesome. It was awesome.
So maybe he'll make you canon to the DCU.
I keep trying. God knows I keep trying. I keep putting it out there. In fact, people would say, like at a con, one of the questions we always get during a Q&A is like, what do you want to do next, or what part are you most interested in? And I used to always say whatever James Gunn is doing next. Now I say whatever Gunn and Mike Flanagan are doing next. That's where I want to be.
James Gunn just I love everything he does.
Yeah,
Mike
he's
Flanagan's awesome too, but yeah, I both of them pretty
yeah.
amazing.
If you can spend the rest of your life going from one man to the next and sort of like working in those worlds and as them as leaders and how they lead and sort of their humanity, how they approach fandoms, and it just everything about it is good.
What was your approach to becoming Shaggy?
Not to mess it up. I mean, I grew up with it. I grew up with the character like everyone else did. And to me, it was important to try to figure out how to take this two-dimensional character and make him a three-dimensional person. My approach was, as with everything, just be really, really locked in on lines and then start to physically build what that character physically is. And certainly with Scooby-Doo, there's so much that goes into like trying to represent the physicalization of him, right? I mean, if you look at his motivation, he's always leading with his mouth, so like that defines everything. And then, the voice obviously was a big piece of that as well, like trying to figure out how to do the voice and how to do it so that, you can maintain it not only for the days of shooting, but the years of doing the voice. And yeah, it was it's so funny back then. I took so much pride in it, and it just the movies didn't get any sort of respect. And I always took that so personally. I was like, man, I feel like I did really good work, right? And I don't know, I've always been really proud of those performances and those movies. And then I really, over the duration of my life, I really hated what those movies did because, I had this really cool career going and I had like a bunch of indie movies that were good that, and then Scooby-Doo 2 came out and didn't do well. And it kind of like stopped all forward momentum for a long time. And I really resented those movies. But now as I get older, I think I'm having this crazy resurgence in my career, and I attribute a lot of that to the popularity of those films. Hollywood has no idea how successful those films are to everyday people. I mean, those movies, those, I mean, that generation of kids watch those movies all the time, and they're still a comfort movie for them,
Yeah.
and
Well,
so
yeah, especially because, just being the same age as you and growing up, probably watching it the same way. It's like that period of time where they start bringing things to life.
yeah,
Loved it.
yeah,
Loved
yeah,
it. They did Scooby Doo really well. I mean, you guys were, that was an awesome crew, all of you guys.
yeah. It was good. It was good, and the CG was good, and the relationship between Shaggy and Scooby was good, and yeah, and they were great scripts. They were super fun. I mean, there was an iteration of the script that James Gunn had written that was very much sort of Shrek at the time. So there was like a layer of comedy that was for the adults and a layer of comedy that was for the kids, and which was very popular in sort of that DreamWorks space at that time. And that version of the movie they tested once and nobody ever saw it again. Because the parents were like, what are you doing? We cannot have idiosyncratic gay jokes or, these like wink, wink, nudge, nudge jokes.
I think a lot of the best movies, shows, like of a certain period, played to both levels, where the kids are like, and the adults are laughing their asses
Yeah,
off.
it's great.
Yeah. Was it difficult, kind of, because everyone else had mostly human co-stars? You spent a lot of time with Scooby Doo.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was. It's really, that's why I think I was so, I mean, candidly, that's why I was proud of it. I don't think you realize that, the whole time there's nothing there. Like you go back and watch the movie. I have not seen the movie in 20 years, but there was like it's one thing to run from a big monster or a spaceship coming at you with CGI elements, right? It's another thing that the number one on the call sheet, the hero of the film is just not there. And you're doing scenes like I love you, man, and these really emotional scenes and these scenes where you're running for your life or you're fighting, like physically fighting, like, and there's just nothing, you're working off nothing, So it's like, it's a one, acting is a two-way transaction. I say something and there's a response and then you respond back, right? It's energy between two people. Well, when you're like, nothing comes back, it gets really complicated. And I did listen, that's not actually true. I mean, Neil Fanning, Australian actor who played the voice of Scooby-Doo, was on set every day and he was invaluable. So I did have Neil and he was great. But other than that, it was not an easy job.
Well, you did an amazing job. I wouldn't have known Scooby was fake. I know he's fake, but you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, yeah.
like you did a really great, it looks very natural. I think that's part of what makes the whole movie so amazing.
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
and Hollywood must have loved it because, I mean, you have an entire career. Was it hard taking over for Casey Kasem? I mean, I know he retired, or the iconic voice, and then you becoming that. I mean, it's like, it's good company, Casey.
Yeah, I don't think it was hard. It definitely wasn't hard. It's something that I really value. I mean, I think that I take great pride in holding space for that character in this moment, right? And at some point in not too distant future, I'm sure I'll turn it over to the next iteration of Shaggy and that person will be fantastic. But for me, I value it, I protect it, I honor it, and I like being the voice. I like having that sort of responsibility. I'm a caretaker for something that's much bigger than me that will 100% be the next generations in the not too distant future, I'm sure. I mean, Hollywood at some point in the whole Scoop thing, I was like, why did you? I mean, I found out about it on Twitter that there was a movie that I wasn't, that Will Forte was playing the voice of Shaggy, and I was like, that's such a crappy way to find out. I mean,
That
I've
is
been doing the
horrible.
voice for like 20 years and like nobody called to tell me. I was like, really? This is like it's so Hollywood. But look, at the end of the day, I was like, if that's the way you want to go, that's great. I mean, I'm not, it's not my part. it's part of my legacy, sure, but I'm only a temporary caretaker for something that's much bigger than me, much bigger than whoever does it next.
That was just a blip. Hashtag you're our Shaggy.
Well, I mean, we need to do another. I mean, everything that's going on right now in our industry, there's all kinds of upheaval and mergers, acquisitions, and right now it's in stasis. It's just nobody's doing anything with it. So hopefully they'll do a bunch of stuff soon. I mean, we've got this pilot, obviously, which is super fun and kooky, so I'm hoping that goes. But it's time to get more Scooby-Doo out there.
There's always time for more Scooby-Doo. Are you looking to direct still? I know you have Fat Kid Rules the World in 2012.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I have two scripts right now. We're trying to get produced. So working with a producer, did a big rewrite on it, have some actors attached, trying to, it's this sort of hard-boiled Kentucky crime caper that goes askew. It's super fun. It's great. It turns out it's really hard to get a movie made. So trying.
Well, I hope you can, because Fat Kid Rules the World. It's great. I watched it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I watched it.
How did you find it? I don't think it's available anywhere.
I will have to tell you after how I found it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, look, I'm so glad you found it. I love it. I mean, it's such a, it's That Kid Rules the World is an adaptation of a book by K.L. Going. It's a like award-winning YA book, and I got the offer to do the book on tape, and I read, Matthew Lillard style. I did not prepare, and I like in this particular moment, I did not because I didn't really want to do the book on tape, but I got this offer. I've never got another offer before. Before that, I've never had one since. And so they sent me this offer, and I'm 20 pages into the book, and I'm literally sitting there crying because of what happens to the hero. And I took 10 minutes to go collect myself, and I called my manager, which I've never done before, and I said, I have to direct this movie. And so, long story, way too short, short. It basically took 5 years. I got the script written. I tried to produce it for 20 million. I tried to produce it for 10 million. I tried to produce it for 5 million because I was in the middle of like all these studio pictures at the time. And I'm like, I can't make this movie for less than $20 million, which is hilarious because it's about an obese teenager in punk rock music. And nobody, Hollywood, that's not the story Hollywood wants to tell. And so I ended up doing it for $750,000 in a 21-day shoot in Seattle, Washington. Jacob Wisaki is in it. He's brilliant. And it won we went to South by Southwest Film Festival and won the Audience Award, which is like a really big deal. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm going to spend the rest of my life directing. I'd rather never act again and just do this. And I've just never been able to get another movie up.
Well, I hope you do. You got chops there. I mean, it was really good. It was, I was watching it because I knew we were going to talk. So I was like, oh, this is his first movie. It was like, this is good. This is good. You're like, yeah,
it's a slow burn. It takes a second to get into it, but once you get into it, I think it's really great. But
once you kind of get into like understanding what all the characters and their motivations and how they all come together at the end, it's well done, sir. So
thanks, man.
All right, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough. They had all these other amazing things. Another amazing franchise. This is a huge video game, a horror video game. And 2023, they make the movie. Great movie. I hadn't seen it, but I knew we were going to talk. So and I know we were going to talk about the sequel. It's coming out real soon. And I'm like, this is a good movie. It's a good movie.
Well, I will say this, right? I think the movie's beautiful. I think that Emma did a great job. And I think it's visually more interesting than you expect from like a kid's horror film. And there's a lot of lore and a lot of backstory there. And, the last sequence is really exciting and it really sets up for the next movie and hopefully the third.
I didn't know anything about it going in other than I did grow up with Chuck E. Cheese and Showtime.
Sure.
And that it was somebody, obviously, the person, Scott Cawthon, is that Cawthon that made the video game? Must have as well, because this is just the nightmarish version of Chuck E. Cheese come to life.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, when I was watching the movie, I was like, how is this a video game?
Right. Well,
haven't, keep in mind, my reference of video games is Atari 2600.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it's funny. I got the job and there's a funny story about that. I'll tell you in a sec. But I got the job and I said to Scott, there's the legacy of that game is so big. Like it's just there's multiple games. There's so many books. There's fan fiction. There's an entire world universe of Five Nights at Freddy's. And I was like, where do you want me to start? Oh, do you want me to play these games? Should I read all these books? Like I want to dig in. Like who is William Afton and how do I represent him? And the funny thing is, like, I will send you 5 playthroughs of the game, and then you should play the first game. Just play the first game. And that's really all the backstory he wanted me to have. And I did. I watched the playthroughs. And the funny thing is that I think that probably, and I'm making this up completely, but I think like only there's a huge popular, I'm not going to give actual numbers because that would be totally ridiculous. There's a huge number of kids that only watch the YouTube playthroughs of people playing the game because they're too scared to play it themselves.
Yeah, there's a
So,
whole thing like on Twitch and YouTube, like it's a
oh
whole
yeah,
industry. Like the people, yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
and there's a whole world of like Scott doesn't tell people, right? He has his version of the game. He knows exactly the lore. He's very clear as to what the lore and legends are, but he doesn't tell people what it is. And the people have made up all these theories, and that has spurred along the fan fiction and the community and people gathering to like exchange ideas and theories about the game and what's going on. And that's why I think the movie's so successful is that people want to finally get the definitive reason why things have happened in the game.
So it's parallel canon. The movie is in sync with the games in terms of things that happen in the movies, or like,
Yes,
okay,
yes. They're doing so the plan has always been in success, right? And yet to see if the second movie is going to be a success. But by the amount of cosplay that was there this weekend in Detroit, I think it's going to do great. They'll make 3 movies for sure. Like they will sort of the first movie is really the first game in a lot of ways, and we'll see what happens with the next 2 movies if they track the games or not. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but it's not for me to talk about.
no, it's we don't want you to tell us anyway. But
No, no, no.
that's what's
I
hard
mean,
with it's coming out. So it's like, but it's exciting that it's coming out, and that it sounds like at least your role as the big baddie is expanding
yes,
from. And there were tons at the Motor City Comic Con. People dressed as Five Nights
so
at Freddy's
many,
characters.
so many spring traps, so many foxies, so many chicas. But it's funny. I was saying that the casting for the movie happened, and at some point Scott was like, "Hey, will you sign this picture for my nanny?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Anyways, you kind of owe her." And I said, why do you say that? And he said, well, we were talking about potential casting for William Afton, and there was a list, and he was going down this list. And the reason I bring it up because it refers back to conventions. He's like, your name came up, and she said, "Oh, that's the guy that stayed because we had done Texas Frightmare, which is a huge horror convention." And Skeet and I, like I stayed, we both stayed hours after the convention on Sunday. I was there for 3 hours after the convention closed to make sure that everyone got through the line. We did that this last week, but we do that often at conventions. Like we'll cap our lines, but then we'll leave. We won't leave until they're done. And so she said to Scott, she's like, "Oh, he had stayed for a couple hours afterwards to make sure fans got their autographs." And he was like, "Oh." And then he started to look into who I was as an actor instead of just being this name on a list. And the more they talked about it, the more he looked at my stuff and the more they liked me. And then they made the decision to, make an offer. So it's been an unbelievable gift. It's like this thing that you never expect. Along comes this movie. I would sort of describe I'm sort of rounding second base, headed for home in a career that's, a full circle. And along comes a franchise that's just game changing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So when I dug in a little bit to the game, is your character in the game is more elusive. It doesn't. They're bringing you a little more front and center in the
Yes, for
movies.
sure. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to see the sequel. I know I have friends who were really excited. Like they were there like before I knew what Five Nights at Freddy's was. They're like they were there opening night because his kid is infatuated with the
Yeah,
game.
yeah. There's a lot of kids like that. I will
So
say this. The good news is that I think the first movie is really good. I think that Scott and Emma both listened to thoughts and that the fans had. I mean, people wanted it scarier. They wanted more action. They wanted more jump scares. And I feel like I saw the movie a couple weeks ago. It's fantastic, and people are gonna lose their minds. I mean, I just think the movie people are gonna like freaking love it. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
well, you got me excited because it's hard. It's hard to be a film adaptation of something where the people are that like close to it. You know, it's like I think like the Harry Potter movies got better after three, where they stopped being scared of missing one word in the book or
Yeah.
something, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you can go down the wrong path. I think like The Last of Us, I think, went down the wrong path where they stayed true to the book, but no one was paying attention. Is this going to be a good TV show after these things happen? It's one thing when you're playing a game, you know what I mean? It's
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Oh, you're talking about what happened last season in the
yeah,
middle.
when season two, you know, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That was shocking. I was like, there's no way. Because I didn't have any idea when that whole thing happened. I was like, there's no way this is like this is a dream sequence. And cut to it was not a dream sequence.
so
But he always knew that that was, he knew that. I
sure.
mean,
That's probably why he signed on.
yeah, yeah. But that, yeah, and listen, at the end of the day, I think that the people that love the game, and there's so many fans of that game, you have to stay true to it. You can't like all of a sudden change it. I just think that that's like,
Right. I know it's hard. It's hard, but you've got just as big a fan base with Five Nights at Freddy's that are gonna like be judging this next movie just
yeah,
as much.
there is a lot of judgment. The good news is that I feel like, Scott's on set every day, all day. And I feel like what people want is they want that lore. They want to, you can't please all the people all the time, but this thing is chock full of what they want. So I'm excited for them to see it, and I hope they like it, and I hope it's a big hit.
I'm
Because
sure
they
it's
want
gonna be
to do the third.
huge. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
and
huge.
the last time the movie came out, it was on Peacock day and date. So it was on TV. So they would go watch in the theaters and go home and watch it like 5 times. I mean, it was like the numbers they did on Peacock in the first 72 hours were like insane.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
super fun.
You're amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking me all the highlights. You got like you did cover my companies, which I really appreciate. That's like anytime I get a chance to talk about it. We're a brand new company, and so you being able you asking me about that was really great. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm gonna go buy some of those bottles. I probably will never drink it, but like a real bourbon or whiskey collector, you have like they have like thousands of bottles, right? And each one
Yeah,
has
yeah.
a story. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
could
Hell
see.
is Not Mocked is Christopher Buehlman is one of my favorite writers, and he's got a Texas whiskey that's really delicious. So check that one out. You'll get a cool short story by Christopher Buehlman. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Well, after Freddy's 2 and 3 and all that is out and Scream 7, you'll come back. We'll chat some more.
There you go. Perfect. Well, thanks for having
All right. Michigan's own Matthew Lillard.
me. Yeah.
Hey.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks.